Well, good evening, and welcome to the Will Austin Show here on iHeart Radio. The title of the show is Destruction, Death, and Poverty. Now, I'd love to come to you this evening and tell you that those are three terms that I came up with, and I came up with this whole idea, but I did not. But we will talk about these three things in depth, and put a spin on it that I had not heard until this weekend. And I am a changed person. And I actually communicated with the person who, and I'll tell you the whole story. I've actually communicated with that person. I told that person that I am changed forever. And this is the beginning of that change. You start at the beginning of the week. Most people start on Monday, and it's Monday because we're doing this show after midnight, 12:13 a.m. on the 4th of May. So we have turned the corner on this change because this is a very important change. Not in a great way. We've not decided to go full all out, lib, socialist, communist or anything like that. So, but we are going to provide another perspective for you that maybe you had not heard before, and maybe you had not heard it in the way that we're going to bring it. So, again, my name is Willie Lawson. This is the Willie Lawson Show here on iHeartRadio. And I just got back from Right Online, a conference of center-right bloggers and radio people like myself, put on by the folks at Americans for Prosperity Foundation, held in Washington, D.C. I just got back this afternoon. And I'm telling you, it was a perfect blend of techno geek stuff and inspiration. So a lot of people who have been in the trenches doing a yeoman's job for so many years got to present, and those of us who were in the field who have been learning. And a lot of this is learning. I'm telling you, a lot of what we do here is trial and error, learning on your own. But we were able to coalesce as a community and start learning from one another. I mean, I was think about this. If you're an independent center-right blogger, think about this panel. James O'Keefe, Sonny Johnson, and Brandon Darby, who is going to be a guest here in the next couple of weeks on the Willie Lawson Show on Blog Talk Radio. So you want to make sure that you keep your ears to the ground on that. Think about that panel. Are you serious? Are you serious? In one room? I mean, they could have charged admission to just that and pack the place out. And if you were at Right Online and missed that particular panel discussion, boy, there's a big hole in your experience at Right Online. If you weren't in that room with James O'Keefe, Sonny Johnson, and Brandon Darby, there's a hole in your Right Online experience. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if they recorded any of this. I certainly hope so, and I certainly hope that I find a way to get it, to share it with you, because it was truly an amazing experience. That was the session entitled "What Would Breitbart Do?" And I think that most people in the room, if they had never met Andrew Breitbart, had a kinship with him, and basically Andrew Breitbart drives what I do. The idea of citizen journalism, it drives what I do. So it was great hearing from people who worked with him and for him in the establishment of Breitbart, in the establishment of big journalism, in the establishment of big government, and whatever else projects that he had going. So this is going to take a little break. We'll be back with more of the Willie Lawson Show right after these messages. Hi, I'm Willie Lawson of the Willie Lawson Show, and I'm here on behalf of Wesley Chapel Toyota. Are you tired of driving that rust bucket that you bought at that really cool tent sale for what you thought was a great price right after Hurricane Katrina? Yes, Billy, that is water damage. So if it's time to get rid of that vehicle and put yourself and your family into something that you can be proud of and depend on, this is your month. The general manager at Wesley Chapel Toyota in Wesley Chapel has apparently lost his flea picking mind and has a quota to his sales staff that is completely and totally undoable. Except now. They've enlisted my help and your help. If you are looking for a reliable vehicle, we all know that there aren't many vehicles more reliable than Toyota. We also know that there aren't dealerships in the country that are more personable and reliable and trustworthy than Toyota dealerships. Wesley Chapel Toyota, 5300 Eagleson Boulevard in Wesley Chapel. The number is 813-973-8888. 813-973-8888. Do it now. You have discriminating taste and an eye for the impressive. You need to surround yourself with not only beauty, but quality. That is why you are looking for a new construction home for you and your family. Let the experts at New Homes of Tampa Bay guide you to and through your new home purchase process. With access to hundreds of model homes throughout the Tampa Bay area, New Homes of Tampa Bay is sure to find that perfect match of budget and beauty you are looking for. New Homes of Tampa Bay can save you thousands of dollars while costing you nothing. Call us today before you start your new home search. New Homes of Tampa Bay at 813-770-9452 and at www.newhomestpa.com. Well, good morning. Are you interested in upping your conservative IQ? To be more solid in your conservative thought, to be able to debate at a higher level, to be able to understand at a higher level what conservatism in America is really all about. Well, I can help you now. Alongside us as partners is a new partner, the RedRiverChronicle.com website. The RedRiverChronicle.com website, whose founder is Kevin Batts, understands what conservatism is all about and understands it in the way they write their articles, their commentary, all the educational material that is on the website, put together in a great way, very easy to navigate. So if you want to up your IQ, go to RedRiverChronicle.com. All right. Well, welcome back to the Will Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio. Today is destruction, death, and poverty. That's exactly right. And I'm going to bring these things to you in a way that you have not heard of before. And and what we hope to do is catch your mind and your heart today. I was at Right Online. And in that panel discussion that I keep referring to, the one with Sonny Johnson, Brandon Darby, and James O'Keefe. And nothing against Brandon Darby or anyone else, but when I actually read and I don't have but I thought I had it's in my suitcase. When I initially read who was going to be on that panel, Anita Moncrief was on that panel too, and I thought, great, this is going to be so great. And I got in the room, and Anita wasn't there. It was just James O'Keefe, Sonny Johnson, and Brandon Darby. Like, that sucked, right? And James O'Keefe got up and did his thing, and sort of encouraged us to participate in guerrilla journalism. that our job now is no longer to debate the left. Because I here on this show, on the Will Austin Show, I've done over 1,400 shows on Blog Talk Radio. The day of the debate for me is over. The day of the debate is over. There are only two things to do now. And this goes to all of my friends who do what I do, and myself, talking to myself as well. There's only two things we can do. We can break news stories, create our own news cycle, because we're not going to get picked up necessarily in mainstream media in the way that we think we're going to, and or expose the hypocrisy of the left. Because frankly, it's the thing that makes me the craziest. It's the hypocrisy that makes me crazy. That's the thing that makes me angry. Is the hypocrisy, the wanton hypocrisy. The idea that somebody is to call someone racist who says, you know what, the best social program, the best welfare program is a job. That person is racist. But the left can say, you know what? I had this happen to me. I was at Buddy Brew here in town. Great coffee. I mean, no trip to Tampa is complete without a stop for Buddy Brew coffee. And if you're coming into town, if you're somebody who listens to the show and you're from out of town, you're coming into town and you want to meet me, all you have to do is send me an email and say, hey, Will, I'm going to be at Buddy Brew on such and such a date, such and such a time. And dude, I will be there. Once you get a taste of Buddy Brew, you won't want that Starbucks piss ever again. Just saying. That's just an endorsement, not a paid endorsement. That's just an endorsement. I was at Buddy Brew, and we often have discussions about this or that. So I am debating, which I've learned is a complete waste of time. This white liberal, and we're talking about the problems in the black community, and why I'm talking to a lily white kid about the problems in my community. Why am I even engaging him in any way that makes him think that he has any solutions, that he has any understanding of what he's talking about, other than something that he read in a book or another white professor told him, as opposed to me that lived there, continues to live there. I can't even imagine why I was even, because I didn't have this revelation. He told me to my face that black people would not be as far along in this country as they are had it not been for the Johnson's War on the Poor, Johnson's War, so-called War on Poverty, and the Great Society. And to that, I said, I think I called him a name and told him that he was stupid, and he couldn't see the wanton hypocrisy is, if we hadn't taken care of you, you Negroes would be nothing. You Negroes would still be in caves. You Negroes, you pickaninnies, would still be you'd still be on the farm, had it not been for us, the Great White Hope. And I said, you don't hear yourself, do? And I asked him, you don't hear yourself, do you? You've managed to turn your mouth on full blast and turn your ears completely off. That you don't hear the hypocrisy in that statement, that you would call somebody who says that the best welfare program is a job, call that person a racist, while saying in the very same breath that that black people, a whole race of people, are helpless to take care of themselves. I mean, we have that same argument when we talk about voter ID. I had that argument with my liberal neighbor that some black people can't get it. Not everybody can do that. Well, hell yeah, they can. If you're thinking about voting in the general election, they happen every 4 years. Are you telling me that the average black person who lives in the inner city can't figure out in 4 years how to get a damn ID? That they're that helpless? What a completely, totally bigoted and racist thing to say, and feel good about saying. That's the most amazing part to me. These people feel good about saying that crap. I tell them, I find it horribly offensive and terrible. Horribly offensive. As a black person in America. But these are the people who are running these major metropolitan cities around the country. Progressivism, we've learned, brings three things. And I wish I had thought of this, and I wish I had thought of it in this way. We kind of all knew, but no one has really said it this way and as strongly as it was said to an entire room of people, that progressivism brings three things: destruction, death, and poverty. And we have seen it all over the world. And now we see it in our major cities. Then we see it in Baltimore. Destruction. Like the destruction of the rioting. Death. Death of its inhabitants. By the people that have been put in position by those put in position by the people, by these very same progressives that have promised the inhabitants of these communities the world, but because they have not provided them with they provided them with an environment by which that is economically viable for them. They have caused some of these problems and used the police force to keep order. The very same people who breed this destruction, death, and poverty, and end up being this horrific, vicious cycle of death. Who turn right around and call the very same people, in these very same situations that they've created, they call them thugs and animals. Now, when Sonny Johnson said, she stood up and said, you know what, that when she hears that, what she doesn't hear is, these cities have been under Democrat rule for 50 years. What she hears is Republicans must suck. Republicans must be horrendous. Because how can you lose for 50 years to destruction, death, and poverty? How can you continue to lose? How bad is your messaging and your messengers that you lose, that you have prosperity, freedom and liberty, life to offer, and you lose to destruction, death, and poverty for 50 years. How bad are you at this? That's what she said, and it blew me away because I had not thought of it that way. I unfortunately had thought of it like everybody else. These communities are have been run by liberal Democrats for years. And that's true. But by the same token, Republicans have failed to get elected and get a foothold. So in these communities, Ferguson, Harlem, Baltimore, other places around the country, where I'm afraid we are going to see a repeat of what we saw in Baltimore this summer. I have a feeling it's going to be a long, hot, violent summer. How bad are Republicans? How bad are we with our messaging? How bad is it that we can't beat, in 50 years, we can't find a way to beat destruction, death, and poverty? And folks, a lot of it is messaging. A lot of it is. A lot of it is what I always talk about, is that you have a steak dinner served on a freaking garbage can lid. Why? Because a lot of Republicans and conservatives continue to refuse to understand people in the urban community, what they're going through, what the challenges are, and frankly, there are challenges to living in the urban community. There are challenges. Yes, those challenges have been put up by liberal Democrats, by progressives. Yes, true. But isn't it up to us to go into these communities and start making a difference? It was, and I guess for me, and those of you who know me, I guess I felt good because using the word outreach is a bad word for me. We don't use the word outreach here at the Willie Lawson Show. We only talk about infusion. Because when you say outreach, you have an outstretched hand that pushes away. It's a picture. Keeping people at arm's length. Infusion is different. That means that you have put yourself into the community. That you have embraced the community. That you've embraced the people wherever you're going, and you want to be a part. It's like I said before, and I've said this before, and I mentioned this in front of the Alafia Republican Club here in town, that we need to annex the community on the other side of the gate, of the other side of the wall that separates our communities. We need to annex that next set of blocks and say, you know what, we're all one community. Because that's the only hope. We know that that conservatives have the hope, have the medicine for what ails the urban community. And it's time that we get up off the couch and stop talking to one another long enough to make sure that those in the urban community can hear us, understand us, and more importantly, that we understand them. I think so. All right, we're going to take another little break. We'll be back with more of the Will Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio and iHeartRadio. It's nearly summertime. The car that you own doesn't have air conditioning. It's going to be a long, hot summer. Unless you do something right now. Here's your chance. Dump that hot rust bucket that you have currently and go to my friends at Wesley Chapel Toyota. The general manager has lost his mind and has created a quota that is, under normal circumstances, impossible to meet for the sales staff. Except now they've enlisted our help here at the Willie Lawson Show. So if you're looking for a reliable vehicle from one of the world's most fantastic companies and at one of the country's best dealerships, Wesley Chapel Toyota. They're at 5300 Eagleson Boulevard in Wesley Chapel, Florida. The phone number there is 813-973-8888. That number is 813-973-8888. Wesley Chapel Toyota. You have discriminating taste and an eye for the impressive. You need to surround yourself with not only beauty, but quality. That is why you are looking for a new construction home for you and your family. Let the experts at New Homes of Tampa Bay guide you to and through your new home purchase process. With access to hundreds of model homes throughout the Tampa Bay area, New Homes of Tampa Bay is sure to find that perfect match of budget and beauty you are looking for. New Homes of Tampa Bay can save you thousands of dollars while costing you nothing. Call us today before you start your new home search. New Homes of Tampa Bay at 813-770-9452 and at www.newhomestpa.com. Well, good morning. Are you interested in upping your conservative IQ? To be more solid in your conservative thought? To be able to debate at a higher level? To be able to understand at a higher level what conservatism in America is really all about? Well, I can help you now. Alongside us as partners is a new partner, the RedRiverChronicle.com website. The RedRiverChronicle.com website, whose founder is Kevin Batts, understands what conservatism is all about and understands it in the way they write their articles, their commentary, all the educational material that is on the website, put together in a great way, very easy to navigate. So if you want to up your IQ, go to RedRiverChronicle.com. All right, we're back with more of the Willie Lawson Show here on iHeartRadio. Thank you again for tuning in. It is going to be, it's going to be a new time, a new date. Things are going to get a little more raw, I think. Things are going to get, because I have said this for years, it is more important sometimes to communicate than to be professional. And this is what I said to Sonny Johnson after I heard her. And she agreed. And I'll tell you, one of my brushes with greatness was that Sonny and I have met on the internet. We have worked on projects. She is on the board of the Black Conservatives Fund, and it was great because you know what, I went up to her and introduced myself, which was part of the greatness of all this. She gave me a big hug, and I felt like and that meant a lot. That meant an awful lot to me. But now it's time to start working in concert. The same with Brandon Darby. Brandon Darby's comments. He had the hardest job. He had the hardest job all weekend, I think, because he had to follow Sonny Johnson. Sonny Johnson just lit that place up. Got standing ovations in a panel discussion. Lit that place on fire. And he had to come in afterwards. But he had me. When he said that he's doing this, when he went to work for Breitbart, he went to work for Breitbart because he knew that what he was writing about was going to get covered and exposed because the left had tried to destroy him, tried to destroy him. And he was afraid that one of these leftists would murder him. So when you look up Brandon Darby on Google, what you see is Brandon Michael Darby is an American informant for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Darby is a conservative blogger and managing editor for Breitbart, Texas. That's what they say about Brandon. So, what Brandon Darby did was he simply told FBI agents, and we're going to get this from him because we are working to have him on the show here in the next week or so, so you can hear from him yourself. Because this is what's on the PBS page. The story, oops, that's the wrong one. That's not the one I wanted. Sorry. Not the one I wanted. But, he did inform he did help the FBI. So he could, keep some police officers alive. And what do they call him? The informant, revolutionary rat. According to subsequent police affidavit, McKay met the next day with fellow activist Brandon Michael Darby, who had also traveled to St. Paul. During the RNC convention, he ended up helping the FBI to keep some people, some police officers from being murdered at the Republican National Convention. And boy, the left just came out after him like you would not believe. And what he said, and when he said this, he said, you know what, I went and worked for Andrew Breitbart because he knew that his story, the things that he was writing about, would get coverage. And that way, if he was murdered by some of these leftists, his little girl would be able to read about who her daddy really was. And I thought, damn, are you serious? And some of us cringe and get upset when we get we get negative pushback on our damn Facebook page. Or we get some negative Twitter action. And this guy has had death threats because he did the right thing. Death threats. Are you serious? I was instantaneously humbled. After being fired up and ready to go after Sonny Johnston, after about 2 minutes of hearing Brandon Darby, I was completely humbled and it felt like I was not worthy to do any of this. It's like, holy crap. Have I walked a mile or for a minute in his moccasins? And the answer is no. It was tough sledding. That panel discussion was hard to get through. I'm telling you, there was a time when Sonny Johnston was talking about her love for her community. There were tears streaming down my face. That she was tired of the frustration of her community. She was tired of seeing young men murdered on the street by whomever's hand. That this very same situation that the progressives have developed is the very same situation and this very same mechanism that sets police against those in the community. So we see these acts of violence. We see this overcompensation by law enforcement from time to time. the untenable situation that the progressives put it's the citizenry and law enforcement. Yeah. So after hearing them, I was humbled, and the question that Sonny Johnson kept asking is, where are my liberty-minded people? Where are they in these situations? Because it is freedom and liberty that are the answers for the ills of what happens in these major cities. It's the ability to let folks know in those communities that it is what they don't need is another government program. What they need is freedom. What they need is real liberty. What they need is constitutional adherence by law enforcement and by government. What they need is to make their own governments, all the people in government where they are, to hold their feet to the fire and make them responsible for the conditions of where they live. Tears streaming down my face. I am a changed person. I am a changed individual. Thank you ever so much for coming to the Will Lawson Show here on iHeartRadio. We hope to see you soon in a few hours on the other side on Blog Talk Radio. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, take care of yourself.